Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
All right, today we're not at One Hacker Way in Menlo Park like Facebook or Instagram might be. We're not at 1355 Market Street in San Francisco like Twitter. Not at 1600 Amphitheater Parkway in Mountain View like Google, or 5800 Bristol Parkway in Culver City like TikTok. We're at 207 Chinkapin Round Road in Annapolis, just like Daylyy. And we're here with Austin Anderson, who is you're the founder of a new social media platform. And when you think of social media, you typically don't think of anything east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
And this is so exciting, though. How are you?
It is. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
This has a great new building smell to it. It's just like when you buy a new car.
Yeah.
And 207 Chinkapin Round Road is about halfway up Chinkapin Round Road off of Forest Drive on the right. And we want to talk about Daylyy, and I will spell it. It's Daylyy.
Yep, correct.
All right, where did that come from?
Daylyy is really inspired by your daily life. And I think that's kind of where the name inspiration came from. But Daylyy is really authentic social media. As I said, inspired by your daily life. Its purpose is to really try and get at the inauthentic kind of fake world that I think we see so much on Instagram. I know a lot of those, seeing always the highlight moments, seeing the best shots, the filtered, the highly curated, all of that has led to, I think, a whole kind of world of mental health issues along with other problems. But what Daylyy is about is really just your authentic, daily, everyday life. So users post casual pictures and videos of their everyday life. And it's really just supposed to kind of create a more casual, authentic social experience.
So you're telling me like all those perfect people, those perfect families and everything on Facebook and Instagram aren't real?
Turns out they're not real.
They have zits. They have zits and blemishes and everything else.
But that's the crazy part is that, I think being a little bit older, we're able to distinguish that, that obviously isn't always the case. It's not always real. But what's really crazy is that the younger generation, I think they're very much affected by it, about always seeing perfect skin, about always seeing perfect families, always the good. And I think that is what leads to a lot of the issues that are kind of coming up nowadays, the anxiety, the depression. It's definitely a problem.
So on a most basic level, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Daylyy is, which incidentally is available at Google Play or the Apple App Store.
Yep.
Just search Daylyy, Daylyy. And in the most basic sense, it is sort of a unvarnished Instagram.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yeah, I actually think that's a good comparison. I would say in the same lane as Instagram in the sense of, you're sharing your pictures and videos, but I think it's the context that really makes Daylyy kind of separate and be a little bit different. Daylyy, again, it's really about these everyday moments. So kind of on Instagram, you might see the highlights, posing and the really cool day, the really nice lunch, the best hotel, the vacation, all of that you're going to. Daylyy is more so, it could be a sunset in the morning or a sunrise in the morning. It could be a nice cup of coffee. It's kind of this journey throughout your day instead of just the wow, instead of just the highlight moments. It's really this, daily journal of your, kind of everyday life.
At one point there was some, and I think it was an app. It wasn't a social media platform per se, but it was called like one picture a day or something like that. And it was you just, wherever it was like, boom, that was it. And that was representative of your day. And there's a guy that takes some wonderful photos in town. He's got a day job, but he's just a good eye for photographer. I said, if you could send a drone up at this exact same spot and do sunrise or sunset every single morning from that spot, and do a poster of 365 little snippets or something, it'd be wonderful. Or
that's cool.
Be able to do it and just say, this is, the gray, the snowy days and the beautiful sunrises that we see here and everything else would be neat.
Yeah.
But as far as unfiltered goes, are you working on the technology to work that, or is that sort of the honor system?
Yeah, so that was kind of a big deal in creating Daylyy, and it's definitely a foundational element. You know, it's one thing to say that we're going to be different from Instagram and post differently and be different and be better, be more positive. But at the end of the day, users and you know, as people, we get something in our hand that kind of looks and feels familiar. And our thought process was that, you know, if we're saying we're different, you get something in your hand that looks and feels the same, you're going to end up kind of using it the same way you always have been, you know, creatures of habit, sort ofly. So what's different about Daylyy is that it's not so much the honor system, but users can't post or upload any content that is filtered. They can't edit it. The no upload part is a pretty big portion of that, because you can't digitally distort, you can't smooth, you can't edit the photo elsewhere and then upload this, you know, ideal image.
So a photo is taken within the app.
It's taken within the app. So it's all real time and realistic content.
Yeah, but you guys are all techie. You could like put like cow ears and stuff on people.
So that's some of the AR, those new filters that have come out. I think filters, you know, people have kind of a simple idea to them of, you know, you swipe and maybe you can make it black and white, sepia.
Right.
But filters have really evolved with AR nowadays, and that's where you're getting, you know, the full face of makeup. You're getting a skinnier jawline. You're getting brighter eyes and better skin, and those are sort of the filters that we believe are harmful.
Okay, so obviously we know the need on this. I mean, it's social media honestly started way back when, and it was very fun. Probably predating you, but I mean, I was I was one of the first people on Friendster. And actually, there used to be a way to look at LinkedIn and see where you stood when LinkedIn came in. I think I was under 200,000, but I've never used it.
Wow. Okay.
So, you know, and I am proficient on a couple of them, but not many. But social media started out as something very fun, very entertaining, very engaging.
Yeah.
And right now, as I look through it, in general, it's a cesspool of crap.
Yeah.
And part of that is what you're trying to eliminate, in that, you know, okay, well, we all have bad days.
Right. Right.
You know, as opposed to sitting there, okay, well, let me make sure that, oh gosh, I've missed a spot shaving. Let's, you know, brush that out. You know, Photoshop was probably a horrible invention in hindsight, but was that the reason that this was developed, was to answer to that, I guess, degradation of acceptance of social media?
I definitely think so. You know, social media, and you kind of, you know, touched on it, but social media really started off in a much more fun place. It felt very organic. It felt very authentic. People were posting these, you know, casual, behind the scenes, fun, almost goofy moments of their life. And I think where it's evolved, it's definitely become, you know, to you know, your point, a cesspool of just of always these curated, these highlights, these perfect wow moments. And it's so much so that I think, you know, you see these hashtags every now and then, they'll rise up in popularity, make Instagram casual again. And, you know, how do we be better, more authentic, all that. I think people want it, you know, they're really searching for it and they're looking for it. But what's funny is that in saying make Instagram casual, their next post is right back to where they were. You know, it's right back to the filtered and edited and highly curated moment. On Daylyy, it's really not about those highlight moments. You know, again, you can capture those in your everyday life, and I think those are fun, but that's not what we're putting the sole emphasis on. It's really just about your everyday. So, you know, some users we've seen have been using it, you know, they'll post 20 times a day, and it's really just this daily journal of their life, and that's really cool. And other users have found it to be more authentic to post, you know, a little bit more seldomly, and I think that's what's really great about it, is that, you know, users are finding what suits them the best.
Yeah,
you know?
what Daylyy is to them.
Right.
And what's to me is different from what's to you and everybody else.
Yep.
Well, walk me through the app. Okay, this is all app based. Okay, and it is, you know, somewhat to Instagram. I mean, we're documenting visually our day.
Yep.
And I mean, we can put captions and
yes.
and hashtags and everything else.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, definitely. Getting into the features, that's really where I think you'll start to see some of the big differentiators right off the bat. And we've already discussed them a little bit, but the two biggest features are definitely the no uploads and no filter. That is what's going to create this new set of content, something that feels much more real, something that feels more realistic. It's also real time. So you're not staging these events that happened, months ago, or, maybe it's a fitness challenge and you're fibbing a little bit. You're posting old fitness.
That would never happen. Come on.
So, you can't be faking. You can't be inauthentic. Those are two really big things. No filters, no uploads. The next you move into are the no public. It's all hidden like count, follower count, and following count. You get a lot of people that start to associate those numbers with their self-worth. And, if they're not getting the right amount of likes on a photo, they're deleting it because they don't think it was good enough. Or if they don't have the right amount of followers or right amount of following ratio, again, they're not feeling like their best selves.
Well, that's true to a degree with other platforms, right? I mean, there's a gentleman in town that does a Navy YouTube pilot thing, and he started out with here's the kids playing in the yard type videos,
right?
And never expected anything. And one time he threw up something. He said, "Here's why." Goose and Maverick, back before Top Gun 2 was out, did something or other. And it got this whole viral thing going on YouTube. And he talked to an advisor who said, get rid of all the other crap that has no counts, and the algorithm turns around and will take over. And that has now, he's, got hundreds of thousands of people as opposed to Aunt Mary and Uncle Herb.
Right.
And so, you're not showing, my social, and God, I hate to use this word, but my social worth is just the same as my kid's social worth is the same as your social worth on Daylyy.
Exactly. And especially from a public perspective, I think that's what's really important. Some of those metrics are still important. We don't want to exclude really anyone from our platform. We believe that Daylyy is a platform for everyone. So when you think about that, some influencers really need those metrics and need to know, their like count for brand deals or whatever, or even just, personal reasons. Some people like to know those numbers. So we thought that it's important to include them in there, but just, it doesn't need to be public. It doesn't need to be something that everyone can say, well, Austin has 100 followers and I only have 50. That makes him better than me, or whatever that thought process might be.
Okay, so Kardashian can sign up for Daylyy.
Yes.
Without a problem.
Yes.
But there's, other than, what we are, there's nothing that's going to differentiate her from me.
Nope, exactly. She would just be posting her
She's another user of Daylyy.
Yep. It's not going to be filtered. It's not going to be pinch, pulled, edited, smoothed out or anything. You'll see the real everyday.
How would you deal with
life.
With product placement stuff? I've heard crazy things like, if Kardashian picks up a Pepsi jar or Pepsi bottle and posts on Instagram, it's, $500,000 into her bank.
Yeah.
How does that work? Is that something that you would allow, embrace, or discourage?
Well, again, I really truly believe that Daylyy is a platform for everyone. And I think what's important to kind of recognize is that we want to be the better social media. We want to be still social, because I still believe there's so many good things that have come from social media. A lot of exploratory, finding new things, creating new relationships, engaging with new people. There's so many benefits to social media, even though I know it gets a bad rap sometime, but we're really focusing on just how can we be social in a better way, a more positive way, a healthier way. So for instance, if Kim Kardashian wanted to come onto the platform, we would definitely celebrate that and welcome it, because she's now influencing more people to be more authentic, to be more real, to be more unfiltered, to, not be all about the highlights, the wow moments, but just that, again, you might be having a bad day. So does everyone. That's normal,
Right. Wow. Well, what was the impetus behind this? You obviously I'm presuming we're discouraged with social media, the world of social media.
Yes.
What's your background? How did you get involved? Are you the idea guy or are you the tech guy?
Yeah, a little bit of both, I would say. I went to College of Charleston down in South Carolina.
Okay.
Around my junior year, actually, I was looking for an internship. And like most startups, where they start is not necessarily where you end up. You take a bunch of pivots along the way. But quick background on it is that we actually started, when I graduated, I started working on a job platform that fall, and we launched a college job internship platform in the spring of 2019. We operated for about 3 years. And it wasn't exactly how I wanted my platform to be used, but it was a place to start. You know, we were operating, we were making money, which was really great. But what was really funny is that we were getting feedback from users, and that is what was starting to shape this pivot and shape Daylyy. But the feedback always seemed to revolve actually around social media, less of our job platform and more around social media. And we would get feedback saying that, you know, every time you add in these social components to your job platform, we really love it. And the feedback that surrounded the platform kind of stopped there and then kind of moved into the problems that they were having with social media, the inauthenticity they were seeing on social media, the anxiety, the depression, the mental health issues that they were facing. So that's really what made me take kind of a pause and think to myself, you know, I know we've been working on this for 3 years, and it could be a bit gutting to take a pivot and change the business model, change the name, change the platform, change all of it. But I do believe it's the right direction to head into. So we took a pivot, started working on the platform for about a year, and we were able to launch just 4 weeks ago, which is really exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So it is brand new.
So it's brand new. We crossed 1,000 downloads Sunday night, which was super exciting. We are in 15 different countries. We have users from Chile, from Canada, Paris, UK, the Netherlands, really all over, which is so inspiring to see. It's really cool.
Where do you guys get your funding, man? Are you going to, startups, especially tech startups, especially social media tech startups,
yep.
Tend not to show any kind of profitability for quite a while. I mean, I'm assuming that at some point you're looking for an acquisition or something along those lines. But I mean, how did you get to this point? Did you have some VC that came in?
Yeah. So when I was going through the 3 years operating as a job platform, we sought funding multiple times. We talked it through with a couple of different partners, found some people that could work, but it, in my gut, didn't seem 100% right. And again, it's a lot to take on, and I was only 3 years into it. So it was just a lot, and it made me, that is also, I think, what kind of inspired this pivot. It's what scaling down could kind of reduce a lot of the costs and reduce a lot of what we were trying to develop. So ultimately, we were able to self-fund with operating for 3 years, and then we did take on a partner, and that's really where a lot of the funding has come from. In the future, we're looking to monetize. Right now, I know, you kind of mentioned that as you operate, you kind of take a loss for a little bit. In the future, we're, thinking about how to monetize and what exactly that looks like on the platform. But I think for right now, our main focus is really just attracting people. The monetization kind of comes second. Monetization will open up if we have even the right amount of people. And today's monetization
is not going to be tomorro's either. I mean, you
exactly
figure out what.
Really good point.
How to do that.
Yep.
I mean, is there a concern? I mean, it was funny. I'll even send you the link when I get it. I saw something on Reddit last night.
Yep.
And so of course it has to be absolutely true. I do too.
Yeah.
But it was just the preponderance of the top websites since like 1993. And it was one of those movable graphics that went, and I mean, it showed how Yahoo was just such a powerhouse at one point. Now it came down to next to nothing. And a couple of things that really sort of surprised me is that, Facebook came up Google took the top rank, and then Facebook was up there, and that's really come down a little bit. I was surprised at how small Instagram was compared to Facebook. I thought it was a little bit larger. YouTube obviously is up there, but as since '93, that's what, 30 years. They've changed. I mean, do you see social media petering out or just changing? I mean, and this could be 30 years from now. This could be tomorrow.
Yeah. Not being able to read the future, I guess who really knows, but I don't think social media is going away anytime soon. I think social media is here to stay. In saying that, I don't think the way social media is currently operating is healthy, and I don't think it's sustainable, and I don't think that social media is always going to look the way that we're currently digesting it and seeing it now. And that's kind of where I think Daylyy is going to inspire a lot of this rewiring, this change of social media. I think it's going to kind of look a lot more authentic, look a lot more real. It's funny you bring this up because I think it's a little bit of a hot topic that I see a lot on TikTok, Instagram, wherever I'm looking. But I've heard a lot about people are feeling this shift in social media, this change in social media. And I think that's kind of touching on a little bit of what we're thinking about as well. I think
it does. I mean, you take a look at where Facebook started out, okay, as the Facebook in colleges, and it was, you had to have an edu email address to get involved in that and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and that was pretty much a granular, natural kind of a social media platform. And then obviously it moved into what it is today.
Right.
And they're trying to figure it out. I mean, I don't know whether they've got an exit strategy, but the whole metaverse and everything else that's going in there.
Right.
It's kind of interesting to watch how that goes. Mm-hmm. But there are, I mean, you are young. I'm guessing, absent competitive intel, you wouldn't be on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Is that fair?
I think that is definitely fair. It's funny you bring that up because it's kind of an example that I like to give, and it's kind of how I think about Daylyy. When you ask someone my age and maybe younger, high school or whatever, are you on Facebook? I think you're going to get a pretty crazy look, and they'll probably say my parents or my grandparents are on there.
It's like a rotary phone.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm on Instagram, right? I think my hope is that however many years it is from now, 5, 10 years, whatever it is, that you could ask someone, oh, are you on Instagram? And I think the response you'll get is maybe, oh, my parents are, or my grandparents are on Instagram, but I'm on Daylyy. I really see Daylyy ushering in this new vibe really for social media. And it's really about being more authentic, being more real. I see Gen Z really gravitating to that sort of aesthetic and style as well. And I think, I really believe that's the way social media is sort of shifting. Another example, I think that's a good parallel, is when you think about cable TV to streaming. It's definitely the same thing, and I think that's what we're talking about here. Social media, it's around to stay. It's going to be here, but how it transformed from cable to streaming, it looks different. It's now operating different. How actors and the producers are creating these films and shows, it looks completely different. So I think it's a really good parallel to say that social media will be here, but it's going to take on a different shape a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think as we're coming out of hopefully COVID and everything else, you've seen how it's really sort of upended everybody to figure out how to do different things. I mean, the movie theaters were closed down. And they're like, well, hell, okay, we found a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And they shifted things to streaming, and now they're like, how do we get people back in the theaters? Well, okay, we're going to theaters for 2 weeks, and and they figured out ways to do it, to get back up and do it safely. And I think it's evolving. I mean, you look at MySpace again, when it started, it said, okay, pick your top 8 friends, and piss off the rest of them. And now that's still apparently a thing with the music industry. I think Timberlake still owns it, I think. And it is evolving. I mean, I sit there and I'm probably the generation that screwed up Facebook for you kids.
No.
Because the grown-ups came on. It's like, this was our playground. What the hell are the grown-ups here for? And I get that. And, but I think my generation, we're tired of it. We're tired of the bickering back and forth. I mean, one of the worst things Facebook did was the groups where you get the little neighborhood groups that bicker back and forth with each other and everything else. And it's just so exhausting. And, at one point I had a friend that was like, okay, well, I'll accept anybody that wants to be my friend. I said, well, that's kind of stupid. I can look on my Facebook and there's maybe a handful of people that I've never personally met.
Right.
But I do have a relationship with them online through whatever means. But I can sit there and say, okay, yeah, I went to high school with him, or it was a college roommate, or whatever it may be.
Yep.
And I think that's, again, the being authentic. Does Daylyy video? I mean, you've got the reels and the stories and everything else that's on the different platforms. I mean, that's all supported with Daylyy as well?
Yep, pictures and videos. You mentioned a really good point there in talking about TikTok and reels. And I think when you talk to a lot of people about Instagram and TikTok nowadays, again, there's benefits to each of them, and sometimes it can be fun and great, a lot of bad that kind of also comes with it. But I think one of the worst problems is just the algorithm, that you can post something, you can go viral one day, you get rewarded for something the next, but you don't really know truly what's doing it. What is the algorithm? What does it look like? What is it rewarding, and what content is it pushing? On Daylyy, there's no algorithm. Again, going back to simplistic and going back to these simple sort of foundations, it's chronological. So as you post is basically as you'll see. Nothing will get pushed or rewarded more than the other. It's simply just as it's posted, that is the order that you'll see it in.
Interesting. So if we're friends on Daylyy,
Yep.
I go over to your profile and I'm just going this morning, last night,
Yep.
yesterday afternoon, yesterday morning's breakfast, whatever it may be, and just scroll right down.
Yeah.
And I'm not missing. And that great blue angel shot that you took or something's not coming up to the top.
No, I hate that. And I see that a lot on Reddit too, with talking to people. A post can come up from 4 days ago, from however many days ago. Here you are liking it. It's not necessarily that it's, embarrassing, but it's like, I don't, why is it coming up from 4 days ago?
Right.
It's odd. It should be, relevant. It should be what I'm looking at is what I want to see. And it's based around today. So Dayly's all about daily, your
That's
everyday
fantastic.
daily
It's
life.
not algorithm driven. It's it's calendar driven.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, I think people are looking for that. Again, it goes back to this, sort of authentic idea of just post as you see it,
Well, when did you start as a Daylyy start as a company?
Yeah.
And how big are you guys at this point?
We started last April, was really sort of getting the idea out there. And that's really when we were deciding on the pivot. During the summer, we worked on the platform. During the fall, we worked on the platform. All of winter, we launched, as I said, only a couple weeks ago. So, we're 4 weeks, about a month old. We have the tech team. That's kind of an interesting little piece. And it was a pretty big learning curve for me. I went to school.
Do you have the tech background?
I don't actually, no. So I went to school and I majored in business. I know how to use Instagram. I know how to use,
Sure.
all these platforms. But when it comes to actually coding, that's not something I'm skilled in. That's not something I know about. So that was definitely a learning curve, really a 3.5 year learning curve, I would say too, of seeing, first of all, what I don't know, learning about, the different avenues, different people, is it contracting? Is it an offshore team? Is it US based? Well, then that gets more expensive. Who we landed with is really an incredible team based out of San Diego, about a 12-person team. And they've been just absolutely fabulous to deal with, really on top of it.
Is that what just out of curiosity, I want to develop an app or something like that, and I need the tech chops. Mm-hmm. So I essentially, you've hired a team that's based in San Diego, and this is their contracted job, if you will,
Correct.
I guess, to develop Daylyy.
Yep.
And to update it when there's glitches and everything else that goes on with that.
Yep.
And is that a limited time type of a contract, or is that
the building the kind of front end itself, what it looks like, what a user will see and how they'll use it, that portion, the team will definitely kind of lessen and get smaller just because we won't be needing as much development,
Sure.
as much coding anymore. Our back-end portion is really pretty robust, and that was important in creating this platform that was going to be for global compliance and global use, and then also, built for growth and built for sustainability. The back-end really had to be ready to handle all of that. So we'll still have a team that will monitor the back-end, and we'll be able to, like you said, kind of the updates. If there's any bugs, glitches, problems, we're always in touch with them, and I'm throughout the day in constant communication with them, always monitoring and looking at the back end.
what happens here in this building? Besides podcasts,
So this is really where Daylyy is headquartered and operating out of. We have our marketing and PR team working out of here. That is sort of our main focus right now. We're all about downloads. We're all about awareness. I think if you were to think
Was it amazing when you saw that first download?
Amazing. Yeah, beyond amazing.
We have one person, and that's like, bring in the good stuff. That's what we're testing.
Yeah, and that was really cool. Then to see our first user that's based outside of the U.S., Canada was our first user. That was really crazy. Then to see users, from Chile and from across the pond, you're thinking, wow, how did you find out about Daylyy? How did you stumble upon us? It's been completely organic marketing.
Speaking of social medias that aren't around, stumbled upon. I don't know. Are they still even around?
I don't know that one. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was I forget. It was a website discoverer kind of a thing, and it had a social aspect to it. But
that's funny. Well, I'm not too familiar with that one.
You're too damn young.
Yeah. But
that's exciting though.
Yeah. And not only the first user that's really exciting, but then when you start to see the feedback that we're getting from people, I'll see some users, they'll post, and whether it's their caption or bio, but they'll say things like, I'm so excited that I found Daylyy. This is a place that I've been looking for. It feels authentic. It feels like I can be myself here. I can post without getting made fun of, or, how whatever it is that kind of pertains to them and why it's important to them. But that is so inspiring to see. And I think it just, fuels the whole team. It fuels all of us when we see comments like that. We're like, not only is this a cool thing that we're doing and that we like what we're doing, but we really are inspiring change, creating change, and I believe rewiring social media.
Where's the future?
The future, I believe, is just more growth. I want everyone to know about Daylyy. I want, everyone to be a user of Daylyy, not just because I think it's a cool, fun social media, but I really do think it's a more authentic and genuine way to interact with people. I think, again, always seeing these highlights, always seeing the best moments of people's lives and seeing this unrealistic content, you're going to feel bad. You're going to be depressed. You're not going to be thinking to yourself that, this is great. This is awesome. You're going to be a little bit unhappy. So social media is here to change, here to stay. And I think it's important about, how do we change it? How do we change the way users see, feel, and use social media?
One thing that's sort of gone through this whole thing as we've been discussing Daylyy is that we've mentioned in various forms, depressing or social or, mental health and unhealthy and everything else like that. Is there any thought to the future down the road to partner with, some mental health organizations, whether it be worldwide or nationwide or locally? And I think this is one good thing that some of the social media platforms do is that when they identify somebody, and I think there was a post on Reddit one time where they sent me an email saying, hey, and I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But I was very glad that they did.
Yep.
Is that something that Daylyy is looking into or has in the program?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think we're always looking for allies and partners that support the same mission and thoughts that we do. So, we're always, I guess, welcoming to anyone that thinks similarly and wants to create, the same change that we would do as well. As much as we think about partners in the sense of mental health, we also think about, how can Daylyy be used and sort of, what are other partners? One of the ones that we've been toying about, and it's kind of a fun idea, is that Daylyy is almost this verification to see, is Austin really Austin? Is Jenny really Jenny? And we're talking about with dating apps nowadays, like Hinge and Bumble and Tinder and all these, that people get matched with someone, and then you think to yourself, is this really a real person? You see a lot of filters. Is it a catfish? Right. Exactly. And we're looking to partner with a dating app at some point and be kind of this verification that if you match with Austin, you can say, hey, what's your Daylyy? Do you have a Daylyy? And now I can see.
So in Match.com, there may be what's your Daylyy profile?
Yeah, exactly. And I can see that.
That's brilliant.
You are really who you say you are. I can see that you posted yesterday. It's that selfie that, looks like you and shows the real you. So, we're always looking for partners. We're always looking for allies and people that think similarly to Daylyy.
That's great. And the one thing I didn't mention too is, and you are local. You yourself here are local. That's why we're here in Annapolis and not on the West Coast. You grew up in Annapolis yourself?
I did. Yep. Grew up in Annapolis on the Chesapeake Bay. I went to school in Severna Park, and I came back, after college to be in Annapolis. I love Annapolis.
Charleston, Annapolis, two places that kind of suck, right?
Yeah, it was a hard choice.
Hard decision. Well, this is great. Congratulations on your first official, month of launching and your new place here on Chicken Pin Round Road.
Thank you so much.
Folks, you can go to the website. It's daylyy.com, and that's not a whole. I mean, it tells you what it is, and it's got the basic background. But you want to download the app, and you can get that on the Google Play or Apple App Store. And that's Daylyy. And we're here with Austin Anderson, who is what is your title? Do you have one of those cool tech titles?
We've been toying with some ideas. Mine's a little bit standard right now. It's just founder and CEO. But I've been kind of thinking about something a little bit more fun, maybe, even in much as like the creator of Daylyy, or, the I don't know, something that's a little bit more out of the box fun.
He's the brainchild behind it at this point. This is wonderful. And I did download the app last night, and I played around with it a little bit. And,
awesome.
I love the concept of being real. I think more people could get along much better if they could be a little bit more real than a little bit more fake. And congratulations, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.